Hi guys, and welcome to this video where I'll be showing you how to create a WhatsApp status saver app from scratch using Sketchware. The purpose of this project is to show you how to create practical apps from scratch using Sketchware, right? And to help you understand how to create and code the backend of a real app. So without any further ado, let's get started. To create a new project, you click on this plus button here. Then you enter the name. The name of our app is called Status Saver. Then we click on this to choose an icon from our gallery, but we need to set some more parameters here. So we click to change the color. The color scheme we want is something that looks like WhatsApp, right? So we pick on this. It should be good. Do the same for the rest. You want something that looks like WhatsApp. Right, so this is the color scheme for our app. We are good to go. So we create our app. Now our app is loaded and has been created successfully. What we want to do next is to start creating the user interface first before we proceed to the back end of the app, right? So what we want to do is create the front end, which is the user interface of the app. It's very easy. So what we'll do is to first of all drag and drop a vertical linear layout into our app. Then we give it a width of match parent so that it covers the whole screen. Then the next thing is to add a text view. We add a text view inside. Now we give the width of this text view to match parent also. We want this text to be positioned in the center, right? So we use what is called the gravity. The gravity helps us to align stuffs to the center. So now we're good to go. Now we set this text to this. Then we set the text size to 12. Let's set the background color of this linear layout itself to teal. And we have something like this. Then we set the text view color to white. Next is to add a tab layout. Right. We set the background of the tab layout also to teal. Right. To proceed, we add a list view. Now what we want to do next is to give IDs to the views we need. So starting with the tab layout, I will change the ID to something that I will remember. Right, give this list view also an ID. So for us to proceed, we need to understand how WhatsApp status work. WhatsApp statuses are media saved on your device, downloaded from the WhatsApp server onto your device, and there is a specific folder where they are stored, right? The folder is when you come to your file manager, open the WhatsApp folder, then open the media, then you look for statuses, right? This is where all the statuses are being saved for a 24-hour time lapse before they are being deleted, right? So any status you've viewed before, you will find them in this folder, right? So what we'll be doing is we'll create an app that can search through this folder and then copy whatever you want to save into another folder, so it cannot be deleted after 24 hours, right? So basically this is what we'll be doing. Copy everything from the WhatsApp status folder and then move them to a folder where we'll be creating, right? To get started, we will need to add tabs, right? Just as we see here, tabs, right? So how do we add these tabs? to our app. To do that, we'll go to the event. In the on create, we will go to the view section, right? Then when we go to the view section, keep scrolling and you will look for tab layout. Yes, under the Android X section, tab layout. Then you drag this add title block, take it there. We need two tabs, right? So we need two of it because we need an image tab and a video tab, right? So we'll select the tab layout itself. This is the ID we set before, tab layout. Then we type in the title of the tab. We want the first one to be images, and then the second one will be videos. Alright, so this is how you do it. So for the purpose of this video, to understand some of the things we want to do, I need to explain some blocks of code before we start using them, right? So for instance, we have this get external storage directory, right? A directory is a file path, right? Just like you type a web address into a web browser, a file directory is an address to that file. The next thing we want to do is to create a folder. Now we will want to create a folder where we can store all the WhatsApp status that has been saved, right? So that it doesn't get deleted after 24 hours. To create a new folder using Sketchware, we would have to create two variables, right? Let's create two variables, and the first one we will call it folder path, and it contains a string, right? Also, we create another variable which is a string variable called status path. Now, what we intend to do with these two variables is that we want them to contain the directory to folders, right? The first folder path contains the directory to the folder where we want to store the WhatsApp status saver, right? Then the status path contains the directory to where WhatsApp stores statuses for 24 hours before they disappear, right? So to do that, set the values of this variable to the directory of these folders, right? We'll drag and drop two of them. The first one will be for the folder part and the second one will be for the status part. Then we set the folder part. We need to create a string, so we'll go to operator, get, look for join. We want to join two strings together, two texts together to form this variable called folder path. Now the first string we want to attach is, we'll go to file, and it's what is called get external directory. It returns a string, a text. This text is the directory, our file manager, right? So we drag and drop it there. Now we want to join this string and the folder name we want to create. The name of the folder we will want to create to store the statuses is called status saver. So we create a new folder. The need for the slash behind is to complete the path, right? So we have something like this, status saver, right? So we get external directory slash status saver. It directs us to the folder called status saver, but this folder called status saver is not yet existent, right? The next variable we have is the status part, the status part, right? We want to set the value to get join go to File, get External Directory Storage. Now the second string is the directory to the status folder by WhatsApp, right? So we go to File Manager, this folder information. I will copy this. It has been copied. We won't be needing this part anymore because we already got it by using the get external storage directory, right? So what we wanted in the first place was a complete string like this, but by using the get external storage directory, we got from the beginning to this point, right? So what we need now is from that WhatsApp to the status. So we clear and get something like this, and we set it. So it's now a complete directory to the status folder, right? So we've successfully set the string, folder path and status path to these values, right? And now the next thing we will do, now we've successfully created variables, right, and set their respective values, right? Now the next thing we'll do is to create the folder where we'll be storing the statuses each time we click on save. To do that, we go to make external directory, drag and drop. Now what we will do is to make directory path, which is our folder path. Remember, folder path contains the directory to the folder we want to create, right? The first one, status saver. This folder is non-existent yet, so we want to create it here. We use the make directory path to do that. Now the next thing we want to do is to get a list of all the files in the status folder of WhatsApp. So this is the status folder. This folder, we want to get the list of all the files here, right? How to do that is very simple. You go to File and look for File List in Part 2. Now before we proceed, we need to create a list that will contain all the list of files we are receiving, right? So let's call this file list, and it's going to contain a list of text, right? So we give it a string. So it has been created successfully. Now what we do is file list in part, right? We want to get the list of files in the part called status part. So we drag and drop there, status part, then set it to file list. What we just did is to collect all the list of files in status part and then store it in a list called file list, right? So far so good. What we just did is created tabs, created variables, and then give them the respective values. Then we created a new folder called folder path. Then we get the list of all the files in the status folder, assign it to a list, and store it in the list called file list. Let's create another variable called number, right? This variable will store numbers, right? So we add. Now we want to go through this list of files, right? We want to separate videos from images so we can present them separately, right? Now, because we want to separate images from videos, we have to create lists that will contain images and lists that will contain the list of videos, right? To add to the list, we go to the list tab, then click on add a list, choose the map type, the name of the list will be images, and then add another list which will store map for videos. Now we have three lists on our app. The first list, which is the file list, gets all the list of files in the status folder. Now the second list is image list, where we will store all the images, and then the last list is called the video list, where we'll store all the videos, right? So how do we separate videos from images? To do that, we will use the repeat. We want to go through the list, right? So we'll go to the control, drag the repeat. But before that, we want to set the value for this number to 0. We want to set the value for this number to 0 because we want to use it to repeat through the list, right? Starting from 0. Now we drag and drop this repeat block from the control tab, right? Why we need this repeat tab is because we want to go through the file list for a specific number of times, right? And the number of times we want to go through this list, it depends on the length of the list, right? So we'll go to the list tab, then we get the length of the list of files, which is file list, right? We will get the length of the list file list, right? And we'll repeat a certain code inside this block for the number of times that is equal to the length of the file list, right? Now the next thing we'll do is to go through the control again, look for if statement, drag and drop it there. Now why we need this if statement is that for each file on the list, we want to check if it is an image or a video, right? So what will be contained in this if will be, go to operator, choose this less than. We want to compare two things, right? Number, we're going through a list, right? We're starting from 0 to the end, right? So if the current number is less than the length of the list, this would help us keep going, right? So drag and drop the length of list, file list, right? If the number is less than the length of list, we will do something inside this block, right? Now after this if block, we will want to also increase this number by 1. We want to increase this variable by 1. To do that, we'll go to the variable tab, drag and drop, right? So what this is all about right now is that what we want to do is to go through a list of files, right? Starting from the top to the bottom. That's why we set this number to 0, and each time we go through the list, each item on the list, we want to increase it by 1 to go to the next file list, right? That's why we have this increase by 1. So what will be inside this if block will be 2 if blocks. The first one will be to check for images, and the second one will check if the file is a video, right? And go to control to check if the file in the list is an image. The second, another one, is to check if it is a video, right? So before we proceed, we know that images end with the file extension of .jpg, right? And videos end with the file extension of .mp4, right? So this is the basic thing we'll be using to separate videos from images, right? The first if block will check for images, and the second if block will check for videos. Now how do we check for images and videos, right? We'll go to file, we'll use this block here, ends with. It enables us to know what a specific string ends with, right? So the first one we're using to check for images, we'll get the current item on the list, which is, we'll use this to get the current item on the list. Right, at the specific number, and the list we are checking is the file list, right? If it ends with jpg.jpg, it means it's an image. If it also ends with mp4, it means it's a video, right? So the next thing we'll do is to get the list, go back to the list and get the current file we are searching through. We use this get at the number, the specific number right now. So we have been able to successfully check each file on the list to know if it's an image or a video, right? So what do we want to do inside these if blocks, these two if blocks? So the first one is to check for images, right? So we want to store it in the list of images, and the second one is to check for videos, right? So we'll store it in the list of videos, right? To do that, we'll go to the list again, go to list map, then we'll get add key. We'll drag this add key to add keys. So when we check for each file on the list, we want to add it to the list where it belongs, right? We'll add a key, just enter a here, and then the value we want to enter is to get the item on the list. We'll drag this get at here, then drag the number, that is the specific file location we are in, right, to file list, then go to images, right? So the next thing we'll do is to add it to our list of images, right? So the same thing also applies to the last if block. If we check and it ends with .mp4, right, we want to add it to our list of videos. To do that, we'll also go to the list and look for add key under the list map, right? Enter the key name A, then the value will be to get the specific file at the specific number, right, of file list, and then we'll add it to our list of videos, right? So this is what we have been able to achieve. Now we can proceed. I'll leave a screenshot of this in the comment section. What we've been able to do successfully now is to separate images from videos, right? Now to proceed on this, we would go to view, and look for list view. List views, set list custom view data, right? We'll drag it and drop it here. So now that we've been able to separate images from videos, we want to set the list view to display images by default, right? So we'll set the list view data to images, right? Because images is the first tab here, right? Now we also add something called refresh data to refresh the list view each time we set a new value, right? So this is what we get, this is what we need to do on the onCreate event. Now we will go back to the view main tab. Now remember, this list view only allows us to display text, right? As you can see, list item 1, list item 2, list item 3. But what we really want to display on the list is videos or images, right? And also a button that will be able to click to save the specific image, right? Now to do this, we will use what is called list view custom view, right? Right now we don't have any custom view that we want to assign to the list view, right? To create a custom view, you go to this tab here. Now you see two tabs, view and the custom view. Right now we don't have any custom view, so we click on add. We add a custom view, we call it custom list. Then we click on add. Now when you click on the custom list, you see a blank page. That's a new screen has been created, a new custom view has been created. Now we have the freedom to organize and customize our list view. So to do that, we first of all want to add a card view. So this is the card view, right? Inside the card view, we want to add a linear layout. First of all, we have to get rid of the padding. Every view comes with a default padding of 8, right? So we have to change it to 0 so that there's no padding at all. Now add the linear layout vertical and make the width to match parent. Now we can start adding views inside this. First of all, we add an image view to display the images, and also a web view to display videos. We also add another horizontal linear layout. So we are done getting all the views inside. Now we should start organizing them, right? First of all, let's set the card view itself to wrap content, height to wrap content. Now set the image view to match parent width. Then set the height of the image view also to 200. Also the web view should be height 200. This linear layout height should be 50. Now inside this linear layout we want to have a button, right? The button that will enable people click to save the specific file, right? We'll add a button for that layout. So we go to gravity, center horizontal. Now it's centered horizontally. Also we want to remove the text from the button because it's an image button, right? Now we can set the width of the button to 50 also, and then the background image. We don't have any image yet into our project. To add an image, you click on this button here. It will allow you add images from your gallery, right? But Sketchware also comes with its own pre-installed images, right? Icons and stuff you will need to make your app look good, right? So you click on this download button here. It brings a list of all the icons you may need in building an app, right? So these are some list of icons you can add that comes pre-installed with Sketchware. So you can search through this list of icons. You can choose the color you want for the icons. We have black, gray, and we also have white icons, right? So here's the specific icon we want to add to our project. This is the icon we want to currently add to our project. It has been added successfully to our project, right? Now we can set it as the background image for the button. So we go to the background property, then background resource, we choose this button here. Now we should set the padding of this linear layout to 0. Now we have something like this. Now let's set the background color for this to blue. something bluish. Yeah, so we have something like this now. Now the reason why we have an image view and also a web view in place is because we want to display images, right, and also want to display videos, right? When we are using the image view, we will hide the web view, right? That will be done in the back end, right? So not two of them cannot appear at the same time, happen in such a way that when we are using the image view, the web view will be hidden, and when we are using the web view, the image will be hidden, right? By using set visibility to gone, right? Now let's give IDs to each of these. Let's call this status image, status image, and let's call this status video. Proceed to setting this custom view we just created as the custom view for our list view. To do that, we go back to the main page. Now click on the list view, then go to custom view, and then add this as the custom view for the list view, right? So now when the page loads, this custom view will be seen as each of these items on the list view, right? Now to proceed, we want to add one more event for our tab layout, right? So what happens when the tab is clicked to be switched? We tick this on tab selected event, we add it. Now inside this on tab selected, what we want to do is to be able to switch between image and videos, right? So inside this on tab selected event, what we want to do is to switch between viewing images and videos, right? Add a control statement if right, so the first one will be the first if will be if the tab clicked is the image, what do we want to do? And the second one will be if the tab clicked was videos, what do we want to do, right? So inside the condition, we will specify that if the position is the first one, right? Remember the first tab is images, right? And the second tab is videos, right? So the first tab has a position number of 0 and the second tab has a position number of 1, right? So we check the position to determine which it is, right? So we'll go to the operator. Now we'll bring this equality sign here into now if position is equal to 0, that is an image, that is the first tab, it means we just clicked on the image tab, right? The same thing applies to the second if statement. If the position is 1, it means the videos tab was clicked, right? Now what we will do next inside these if blocks is to set the list of the list view to their respective views, right? So if the image tab was clicked, we'll set the list view to our list of images that we separated earlier, and if the videos tab was clicked, we will set the list view to the list of our videos, right? So to do that, we'll go to view, then get list view, set custom data. Now for this list view, we want to set the map to images, right? The same thing applies to the second one, but in this case we want to set the list to videos, right? Now in each of these cases we want to refresh after setting them, so we'll go and drag and drop this list view refresh for each of these. So this is all we have to do in this event, right? All we just did here is to check if the tab selected was an image, and if it's an image, we'll set the list view to display all the list of our images, and if it's a video tab clicked, we would set our list view to display the list of videos that we have separated earlier, right? So we're done with here. Now just one more event we need to add, event of the list view. So we scroll and look for unbind. Okay. What this unbind means is that when the list view is being populated with the list of items, right, what do we want to do, right? So that's what it basically means, unbind custom view, right?